I never thought my own quiet, carefully ordered life would turn into a neighborhood battlefield. Yet that night, I faced what every homeowner dreads. An HOA president who treated my private property like her personal convenience store. She didn't just break a rule, she reached into my home's very system, pulling power from the grid I had built with my own hands, feeding her Tesla without so much as a knock on my door. Her excuse was insulting. She claimed electricity flowing outside was public. Public. As if the boundary between my effort and her desire dissolved simply because she wanted it that way. The irony? Iron has more respect for limits than Karen Dunn does. The only thing truly borrowed that night turned out to be my fire extinguisher, when her smugness literally went up in flames later. But I'll explain. For now, let me go back to the beginning, so you understand how this all unraveled and why I decided to fight back. My name is Evan Cole. I'm a solar engineer. My world revolves around precision and order. Circuits open or closed. Systems stable or unstable. No halfway truths, no gray areas. I built my life on this mindset. My home reflects it. A neat house on a quiet street, chosen with my wife Sarah for its peace and calm. We don't own much, but what we do own we guard. A small yard shaded by one great tree, a practical two-car garage, which doubles as my personal workshop. Inside, everything has its place. Tools arranged perfectly, projects neatly staged. No wasted space, no wasted time, and outside, bolted firmly to the wall of my garage, stood my pride in everyday utility. A 240-volt level 2 electric car charger, drawing up to 48 amps, linked to my solar panels and my home battery. For me, it wasn't just hardware. It was a system I'd made efficient, reliable, and self-sustaining. Tech married to clean energy, designed for one purpose, to charge my car, mine. Period. I thought it obvious that this belonged to me alone. But the story I'm telling you is what happens when someone decides that boundaries no longer apply, that what is yours is automatically theirs. It's a story about theft dressed in entitlement, and about how far a quiet, logical man will go to defend the line drawn on his own wall. At 2 a.m. sharp, the alarm shivered me awake. Unlike a polite chime you can roll over and ignore, this one screamed. A shrill digital shriek that tore through our room like a blade. Sarah bolted upright, hand pressed to her chest. I was already out of bed. My feet found the wood floor, cold as the air outside. An alarm is not fear, not to me. It's data. It's a message from the system, information that something is wrong. And when something is wrong, I don't panic. I run the checklist. First thought, house security system? No, that alarm is a deeper tone. Smoke alarm? No, those trigger in threes. This was different. This was the voice of my custom energy monitoring system. A digital sentry I had built myself to track the flow of every electron through my panels, my power wall, and my charging port. No electrician could give me peace of mind like my own programming could. It pulsed red, lit in fury. Sarah whispered, "What is it, Evan?" Her voice was tight with that kind of worry only spouses understand. "Someone's pulling from the charger," I said, my voice calm only because I forced it that way. The tablet on my dresser glowed with a line graph. For hours, the consumption had hovered, low and steady. Fridge, lights, a trickle for the inverter. Then suddenly a spike. Not just a bump, but a skyscraper. 48 sustained amps. The maximum draw of my charger, screaming in numbers across the screen. Only problem? My Tesla sat in the garage, fully charged, untouched, which meant someone else was tapped into my wall. I moved toward the window and pulled back the curtain. Outside, the motion light glared down, washing the driveway in stark white. And there it was. A silver Tesla Model 3, angled into my driveway as if it belonged, cable plugged in, humming happily. The car's owner, standing bold as brass in slippers, a silk robe flowing around her, scrolled her phone like this was as natural as watering her plants. It was Karen Dunn, president of our HOA. The gall stole my breath for a second. Not an accident. Not confusion. A deliberate middle-of-the-night plug-in. I tugged in jeans, stepped into the cool outside air barefoot, the concrete biting against my soles. She looked up as I approached, not startled, not shamed. No, Karen looked at me with that smug, painted-on little smile she practiced at HOA meetings. "Evan," she said, silky smooth. "Good evening. Well, morning at this point, huh?" She gestured lazily to her car. "Just topping up." "This isn't a public station," I replied, jaw tight. "What are you doing?" "No need to be dramatic," she purred, patting my charger like it was a playground slide. "We're neighbors. Community resources, right? That's what we build. A sense of harmony. Your charger's helping the green cause." Her tone dripped condescension, wrapping theft in the lingo of virtue. "That community feature, Karen, is my property," I said. "I ran the conduit. I bought the unit. It runs off the panels I designed and paid for. This is private electricity. Her eyes narrowed, crown tilted. Stealing? That's such an ugly word. I am the HOA president, Evan. I understand what falls under community assets. This, she tapped the charger again, is clearly an asset enhancing everyone's values. Surely you see that. I stared at her. Was she serious? This was lunacy disguised as civic duty. The engineer in me bristled at the illogic. Her words were not just false. They were offensive to the idea of fact itself. Unplug your car, I said, my voice now sharp. She crossed her arms, chin lifting. I don't think so. I need at least 80% for my yoga retreat. Now. Her grin widened. Or what? You'll file a complaint? 'Cause of disturbance? Against bylaws? Standing there, cable humming between wall and car, she radiated entitlement. My anger solidified into something colder than rage. This wasn't about the few dollars of power. It was about my home turned into her playground. My line erased because she thought she had the crown. I realized then, conversations couldn't fix this. Warnings wouldn't stop her. This wasn't an incident. It was a declaration of war. And if there's one thing I understood, it was how to build a system that no arrogance could breach. The next morning, after a sleepless stretch of replaying every detail in my head, I walked straight into my workshop. My mind was clear in one direction. Resolve. She had power as an HOA president. I had something stronger. Knowledge of law, physics, and leverage. If she wanted a game, I would bring her rules she could never bend. Sarah found me hunched over my bench, pencil sketching circuits on scrap. She placed a hot mug by my arm. You barely spoke last night. You okay? I'm working, I said softly. On a solution? A solution for Karen? She asked, leaning to look. Her eyes moved over my diagrams. Contactor relays, RFID modules, protective cases. Let's call it an educational upgrade, I said with a humorless smile. Phase 1, deterrence. Phase 2, undeniable proof. She frowned slightly, but knew arguing when I was in build mode was pointless. I spent the morning making calls, scrolling through supplier catalogs. I knew where to get hardened gear, weatherproof boxes, no-nonsense locks, not cosmetic gimmicks, real industrial metal built to withstand force. If she was going to trespass again, she was going to face more than plywood and plastic. The first order was simple. The lock. Not a hardware store padlock to be cut with bolt cutters or picked with some toy key. No, I wanted hardened, weatherproof steel, a unit rated against tampering, a lockbox she'd never see coming. I am not building a cheap fix. I am building a fortress. First, a lock. But not just any padlock. A cheap lock can be cut or picked. I order a heavy-duty weatherproof lockbox. It is made of hardened steel. It is designed to cover the entire charging handle and the port it plugs into on the wall unit. It secures with a combination lock that I can change whenever I want. This is the physical barrier. It is simple. It is direct. It says keep out. But I know Karen. She is clever. She is persistent. A simple lock might stop her for a day, but it will not stop her for good. She will see it as a challenge. She will try to break it. Or she will complain to the HOA board that I am creating an eyesore. You need more layers. Layers she cannot see. That is where Phase 2 begins. Deep inside my garage, behind a metal panel where all my solar equipment is housed, is the main breaker for the outdoor charger. It is clearly labeled. It is easy to access. Too easy. I decide to tote a second hidden breaker. I spend the afternoon running a new line. I route the power for the charger through a small, unmarked electrical box tucked away in a corner of the attic. Now the hidden kill switch controls the charger. If I flip that switch, the charger on the wall becomes a dead, useless piece of plastic. She can break the lockbox. She can jam a crowbar into the port, but she will not get a single watt of power. It is a silent, invisible defense. I feel a grim satisfaction as I screw the cover onto the hidden box. Let her try to find that. The final piece of this technological puzzle is the most elegant. A lock and a hidden switch are good, but they are reactive. I want something proactive. I want the system to be smart. I order an RFID access control module. RFID stands for radio frequency identification. It is the same technology used in key cards for office buildings and hotels. I will wire this module into the charger's external enable disable input. The charger will not activate. Will not send a single electron down the cable unless it receives a signal from an authorized RFID tag. I will have 2 tags. One will be a small card I keep in my wallet. The other will be a tiny sticker I put on the back of Sarah's phone. To charge our car, we will simply tap the card or the phone against a specific spot on the charger. A tiny green light will blink. The internal relays will click and the power will flow. For anyone else, including a certain HOA president with a sense of entitlement, the charger will remain inert. It will be like trying to start a car with the wrong key. It takes me the better part of the weekend to install everything. I am meticulous. Every wire is cut to the perfect length. Every connection is soldered and shrink-wrapped. I test each component individually. Then I test them all together. I put the lockbox on the charger. It fits perfectly. A metal shell protecting the handle. I flip the hidden breaker in the attic. The charger goes dead. I flip it back on. I program the RFID cards. I tap my card to the unit. Click, the green light comes on. I tap it again. Click, the power cuts off. It is perfect. It is a layered defense system. The lockbox is the wall. The hidden breaker is the moat. The RFID access is the guard at the gate who only lets friends inside. Sarah comes out to the garage as I'm cleaning up my tools. She looks at the fortified charger. Is all this really necessary, Evan? When you are dealing with someone who believes community means whatever I want to take. Yes, it is necessary. I say my house is not a public utility. My property is not a free-for-all. There are boundaries. She puts her hand on my arm. Just be careful. She is going to be angry when she sees this. I am counting on it, I reply. Let her be angry. Let her try something. Because the next time she comes to my charger, she is not just going to find it locked. She is going to find it is a lot smarter than she is. I feel a sense of calm settle over me. I have taken control of the situation. I have used my skills, my knowledge, my logic to build a defense. I have reinforced my home. Now all I have to do is wait. I know she will be back. People like Karen Dunn cannot stand being told no. They see a boundary as a dare. And I am ready for her. My system is ready. The trap is set. The only question is when she will walk into it. A week goes by. The new lockbox on my charger gleams in the sun. It is a silent statement of defiance. I see Karen Dunn a few times. She drives past my house, her eyes lingering on the charger. She gives me a cold, tight-lipped glare at the community mailbox. She says nothing, but I can feel her anger simmering under the surface. It is in the way she holds her shoulders, the rigid set of her jaw. She is planning something. I know it. People like her do not just give up. They escalate. They look for a loophole. They look for a way to prove they are still in charge. I check my system every night before I go to bed. The hidden breaker is on. The RFID system is active. The fortress is ready. I add one more layer, the final piece of my defense. My current system is designed to prevent theft, but it is not designed to prove attempted theft. If she tries to break the lock and fails, it is my word against hers. She could claim I am harassing her. She could claim the lock is an HOA violation. I need something more. I need irrefutable evidence. I need a black box. In engineering, a black box is a device that records everything that happens in a system. After a failure, you open the box, and it tells you exactly what went wrong. I am going to build a black box for my car charger. I go back to my workshop. My plan is to build a device that sits between the main power line and the charger itself. This is perfectly legal. The National Electrical Code has provisions for monitoring equipment. I am a certified engineer. I know the code by heart. I will build a monitoring port. It will be a small weatherproof box installed right next to the charger. Inside this box, I will place a microcontroller, a tiny computer connected to a set of sensors. These sensors will measure the voltage and the current flowing to the charger. The data will be recorded every second to a small SD memory card. A timestamp will be logged with every entry. It will create a perfect second-by-second diary of the charger's activity. But this monitor will do more than just record data. I will program it with a set of rules. Rule number 1. If the current draw exceeds a certain threshold without RFID authorization, an alarm is triggered. Not the loud screaming alarm inside my house, but a silent digital alert sent directly to my phone. Rule number 2, and this is the important one. If the sensors detect a dangerous electrical event, like a short circuit or a sudden erratic power surge, the monitor will instantly cut the power. I will install a high-speed contactor, a type of heavy-duty electrical switch. In the event of a problem, the microcontroller will send a signal to the contactor, and it will physically disconnect the charger from the power grid in milliseconds. It cannot raise voltage or push extra power, only shut things down and record. It is a safety feature, a circuit breaker for the circuit breaker. It is designed to prevent fires. It is also designed to stop a thief in their tracks. The installation is tricky. I have to de-energize the entire circuit. Of course, I cut into the main conduit and carefully wire in my monitoring box. I make sure every connection is sealed and waterproof. To an outside observer, it just looks like a small gray utility box. Nothing special, but I know what is inside. It is my silent witness. It is my guardian. Once it is installed, I run a series of tests. I try to activate the charger without the RFID card. My phone buzzes instantly. Unauthorized access attempt. The message reads, "The log on the SD card shows a record of the attempt timestamped down to the millisecond." Then I simulate a short circuit. I use my test equipment to create a brief controlled fault. The result is instantaneous. A solid audible thunk comes from the monitor box as the contactor disengages. The power to the charger is cut. The log on the SD card reads critical fault detected. Power disconnected. Reason over current event. The system is complete. It is beautiful. It is a masterpiece of personal security. It is robust. It is legal. And it is entirely on my property. It does not watch Karen. It does not record her. It only records the activity of my own electrical circuit. It is a system of pure logic. If the correct key is used, power flows. If the wrong key is used or if a dangerous event occurs, the power stops and a record is made. There is no ambiguity. There is no room for argument. Sarah watches me as I put the cover on the monitor box. Another upgrade, she asks. The final one, I say. This one is the notary public. It just sits here and takes notes. And if it sees anything dangerous, it pulls the plug. You really think she's going to try something else? She asks. Her voice is laced with a weary concern. She's tired of the drama. So am I. I know she will, I say. She has been stewing for a week. Her ego is bruised. She was publicly denied something she wanted, and she cannot let that stand. She is not going to try to get a free charge anymore. Now she is trying to win. But she does not know the game has changed. She is playing checkers. I am playing chess. I feel a strange sense of anticipation. It is not a pleasant feeling. It is a knot of tension in my gut. I have built this intricate logical defense around my home. And now I am just waiting for the attack. I hate it. I hate that this woman has forced me to turn my home into a fortress. I hate the conflict, but there is a part of me, the engineering part, the problem-solving part, that is grimly satisfied. I have analyzed the problem. I have designed a solution. I have built and tested it. Now the system is live. All it needs is an input. I have a feeling Karen Dunn is going to provide that input very soon, and my little gray box will be there to record it all. The night is dark. A thin sliver of moon hangs in the sky, offering little light. It is just after midnight. I am in my living room reading a book. Sarah is already asleep. The house is quiet. Then my phone buzzes on the table next to me. It is not a loud ring. It is a short, sharp vibration. I pick it up. The message on the screen makes my blood run cold. Unauthorized access attempt. My system is talking to him. Someone is at the charger. It can only be one person. I get up and move silently to the window. The same one I looked through a week ago. I peer through the blinds. The motion sensor light is on again, casting long shadows across the driveway. And there she is. Karen Dunn. She is not wearing a silk robe this time. She is dressed in dark clothes. She looks like a cat burglar. But the most important thing is what she's holding in her hand. It is not my charging cable. My cable is locked securely inside its steel box. She has brought her own equipment. From my vantage point, I can see it clearly. It is a cheap, uncertified adapter, flimsy wiring, no proper safeties. It has a standard plug on one end, the kind you would use for a regular wall outlet, and a Tesla charging connector on the other. My stomach twists into a knot. I know what she is trying to do. She has found another outlet on the front of my house, a standard 120-volt outlet I use for holiday lights. It is not protected by the lockbox. It is not part of the main charger's high-voltage circuit. She thinks she has found a loophole. She is going to plug the adapter into that outlet, and then into her car. She will get a slow trickle charge, but it will be a victory for her. She will have bypassed my fancy security. She will have won. Those cheap third-party adapters are notoriously dangerous. They're often made with substandard wiring and no safety features. They are not designed to handle a continuous power draw for hours on end. More importantly, a Tesla vehicle is a sophisticated piece of machinery. When you plug a charger into it, the car communicates with the charger. They perform a digital handshake, agreeing on the voltage and current. Her cheap adapter cannot do that. It is a dumb piece of hardware trying to interface with a smart car. It is a recipe for disaster. I watch her, my heart pounding. My first instinct is to run out there and stop her, to yell at her, to tell her she is about to do something incredibly stupid and dangerous. But then I stop. My system, my monitor. It is not connected to the 120-volt outlet. It will not log this, but my security cameras will. I have 2 small discrete cameras covering my driveway. They are rolling right now. They sit under the eave, easy to miss, and auto backup clips to the cloud. She fumbles with the adapter. She seems to be having trouble. She looks back at my house, her face a mixture of frustration and determination. She's trying to force the adapter into her car's charging port. It does not seem to fit right. She is wiggling it, jamming it in. I can almost hear the grating sound of plastic on metal. This is it. This is the moment. She is so focused on defeating me that she is ignoring every warning sign. I see her look at the lockbox on my main charger. She gives it a frustrated kick, A petty, childish act of vandalism. Then she turns her attention back to her own adapter. She is muttering to herself. I cannot hear the words, but I can see the anger in her movements. She is no longer just trying to get a charge. She is trying to conquer a perceived enemy. That enemy is me and by extension my house. I should go out there. The responsible part of my brain is screaming at me to intervene. But the part of me that has been pushed, provoked, and stolen from wants to see this play out. I have done everything right. I have secured my property. I have acted legally and responsibly. She is the one who has come onto my land in the dark with shoddy equipment to steal from me. Her actions have consequences. Maybe it is time she faced them. She finally manages to jam the adapter into her car's port. Then she takes the other end and plugs it into the wall outlet. For a second, nothing happens. A triumphant, smug smile spreads across her face. She thinks she has won. She thinks she has outsmarted me. She turns, ready to walk back to her house, leaving her car to slowly siphon my electricity. She has no idea what is about to happen. She does not understand the forces she is playing with. Electricity is not a toy. It is a powerful, unforgiving force of nature. And she has just shown it a profound lack of respect. I hold my breath, my eyes glued to the connection point at her car. The cheap adapter, the expensive car, and the laws of physics are about to have a very serious conversation. And I have a front row seat. The smile is still on Karen's face when it happens. It is not a loud explosion. It is a series of small, rapid events. First, there is a sound, a sharp, angry sizzle, like bacon hitting a hot pan, but meaner. Then, a light. A brilliant, terrifying flash of blue-white light erupts from the point where the cheap adapter meets her car's charging port. It is an electrical arc. Raw, uncontrolled electricity jumping across a gap it is not supposed to cross. It lasts only for a fraction of a second, but it is as bright as a welder's torch. Immediately following the arc, there is a pop, a loud percussive noise like a firecracker going off. A puff of thick, acrid black smoke billows out from the connection. The smell hits me even through the closed window. It is the unmistakable stench of burning plastic and fried electronics. Karen screams. Her smug triumph evaporates, replaced by pure panic. She stumbles backward away from her car, her hand flying to her mouth. The smoke is not just a puff anymore. It is a steady, thick stream pouring out of the melted blackened plastic of the adapter. And then I see it. A tiny flickering orange flame. For a few seconds, a bright flare licks along the hood seam before I blast it out. On camera, the arc bloom looks like the whole hood is on fire. It's small, no bigger than a candle flame. It is feeding on the melted plastic of the adapter and the rubber insulation of the wires. My training kicks in. All the anger, all the frustration disappears. It is replaced by a cold, clear focus. That is an electrical fire. You do not use water. You do not panic. You act. I'm already moving. I do not run for the front door. I run to the garage. On the wall next to the door is a fire extinguisher. It is not just any fire extinguisher. It is a Class C extinguisher, specifically designed for electrical fires. I grab it from its mount. It is heavy and solid in my hands. I pull the pin as I run out the garage door and onto the driveway. Karen is just standing there, frozen. She is pointing at her car, making a strange, high-pitched whimpering sound. The little flame is bigger now, greedily licking at the paint around her car's charging port. The black smoke is getting thicker. "Get back!" I yell. My voice is sharp, commanding. It cuts through her panic. She scrambles backward, tripping over her own feet and landing hard on the pavement. I do not have time to worry about her. I approach the fire cautiously. I aim the nozzle of the extinguisher at the base of the flames, just like they teach you. I squeeze the handle. A huge cloud of fine white powder erupts from the nozzle with a loud hiss. I sweep the cloud back and forth across the burning area. The flames vanish instantly, smothered by the chemical powder. The smoke turns from black to white, then dissipates. I give it another short blast just to be sure. It is over. The fire is out. The silence that follows is deafening. The only sound is the faint ringing in my ears. The air is thick with the chemical smell of the extinguisher powder, which now coats the side of her silver Tesla in a layer of fine dust. The area around the charging port is a melted, blackened mess. The cheap adapter is a deformed lump of charred plastic fused to the car. Her expensive high-tech car, now scarred and damaged because of her own arrogance and stupidity. I stand there, the heavy extinguisher in my hand, my heart pounding from the adrenaline. I look at the damage. Then I look at Karen. She is still on the ground staring at her car. Her face is a mask of disbelief and horror. The reality of what just happened is starting to sink in. She did this. Her attempt to get a few dollars worth of free electricity has just caused thousands of dollars in damage to her own vehicle. And it could have been so much worse. If I had not been watching, if I had not had the right equipment, that small flame could have easily spread to the car's battery. A lithium-ion battery fire is a catastrophic event. We could have been looking at a chemical inferno that would have taken the fire department hours to control. She finally picks herself up off the ground. She looks at the mess. She looks at me standing there with the fire extinguisher. I expect to see shame. I expect to see regret. I expect to see a glimmer of gratitude that I just saved her car from burning to the ground. I see none of those things. Her expression shifts. The horror melts away, and in its place I see a cold, calculating fury. Her eyes narrow. She's not thinking about the fire. She is not thinking about the danger. She is thinking about who to blame. And here yous are locked on me. In that moment, I realize my problem is not over. It is just beginning. She is not going to take responsibility. She's going to try to burn me down instead. You! She screeches. Her voice is shrill, cutting through the night. You did this. You sabotaged my car. I stare at her, my mind struggling to process the accusation. I just put out a fire that she started, and she is blaming me. The sheer unmitigated gall is breathtaking. Karen, are you insane? I say, my voice low and dangerous. You plugged a cheap, illegal adapter into your car. It shorted out. I just saved your car from burning to a crisp. Lies! She shrieks, pointing a trembling finger at me. Your charger. It's your faulty equipment. You set a trap. Her eyes dart around the driveway, wild and frantic. She's looking for an angle, a way to spin this, a way to turn her catastrophic failure into my fault. And then her eyes land on the small gray utility box on the wall next to my main charger. The monitor box, my silent witness. A tiny red light is blinking on its surface. The light that indicates it has recorded a fault. The light that shows the SD card inside is full of data. My data, my proof. Before I can react, she lunges for it. She moves with a surprising speed, fueled by pure desperation. Shepri opened the cover of the monitor box with her fingernails. It is just a simple plastic latch, not designed to withstand a determined assault. After this night, I replace it with a tamper screw and a lock. She sees the small SD card nestled in its slot. She knows what it is. It is evidence. It is the black box from the crash scene. Without a moment's hesitation, she yanks the card out of the slot. Hey! I yell, taking a step toward her. That's mine. She clutches the tiny piece of plastic in her fist, as if it is a precious jewel. She gives me a look of pure venomous triumph. No. She hisses. This is evidence. Evidence of your criminal negligence. And then she runs. She turns and sprints across my lawn, heading into the darkness between our houses. For a second I am frozen in shock. She not only tried to steal my power, started a fire, and blamed me for it. But now she's stolen the very evidence that would prove my innocence. The cold anger I felt before comes roaring back, hotter and more intense than ever. This is no longer about electricity or property. This is a direct assault. She is trying to ruin me. I drop the fire extinguisher. It clangs loudly on the concrete and I run after her. I am not thinking. I am just reacting. The primitive, protective part of my brain has taken over. She has a head start, but I am faster. I vault over the low hedge that separates my yard from my neighbor's. I can hear her crashing through the bushes ahead of me. She is making a lot of noise. What's going on? A voice shouts from a nearby house. It is my neighbor Tommy, a good guy. A little nosy, but his heart is in the right place. His porch light flicks on, illuminating the scene. She's trying to frame me, I yell back, not breaking my stride. I am closing the distance. I can see her just ahead, running awkwardly in her dark clothes. She glances back, Hiri's wide with panic when she sees me gaining on her. She is not going to get away. I will not let her. I will not let her take my name, my reputation, and twist it into a lie. I will get that card back. My entire future might depend on that tiny piece of plastic she is holding in her hand. The chase is on. I am no longer just defending my property. I am fighting for the truth, and I will not lose. The chase is short and chaotic. We are running through the manicured backyards of our neighborhood. I dodge a bird bath. I leap over a garden gnome. Karen is not as agile. She stumbles through a rose bush, letting out a yelp of pain. She is breathing heavily, her panic giving way to exhaustion. I am just a few feet behind her now. Give me the card, Karen, I shout, my voice is ragged. Stay away from me, she screams, clutching her hand to her chest. You assaulted me. Everyone will hear about this. She is already building her narrative, creating her story of victimhood. It is impressive in a horrifying way. We cut across another lawn and suddenly we are blinded by headlights. A car has pulled up to the curb at the end of the street. The red and blue lights on its roof begin to flash, painting the houses in strobing colors. It is a sheriff's deputy. Someone must have called 911. Tommy later tells me he made the call. Karen sees the police car, and her strategy shifts instantly. She stops running. She turns and puts her hands up, feigning surrender. She starts crying. Loud, theatrical sobs. Help, she wails. Officer, thank God. This man, he attacked me. He tried to burn my car. I skied to a stop a few yards away, my chest heaving. I put my hands up as well to show I am not a threat. The deputy gets out of the car, his hand resting on his sidearm. He is cautious, his eyes flicking between me and the hysterical woman in front of him. "All right, what's going on here?" he says, his voice calm but firm. "He's crazy," Karen sobs, pointing at me. "I plugged my Karen, and he had some kind of device on it. It blew up. Then he chased me. He was going to hurt me." The deputy looks at me. I take a slow, deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. I need to be the logical one here. I need to be the calm one. "Officer," I start, keeping my voice steady. "My name is Evan Cole. I live right there." I point back towards my house. "That woman is Karen Dunn, the HOA president. For the past week, she's been attempting to steal electricity from my private car charger. Tonight, she used a faulty, unauthorized adapter which caused a small electrical fire on her own vehicle. I put the fire out. He's lying." Karen shrieks. He's trying to cover his tracks. "Ma'am, let him finish," the deputy says, holding up a hand to silence her. He looks back at me. "Go on." "When the fire happened," I continue, "a monitoring device I installed recorded the event to an SD memory card. She saw the device, opened it, and stole the card. I was chasing her to retrieve my property. The evidence that will prove what really happened." I look directly at Karen. She has it in her hand right now. Karen sobs hitch. She looks down at her closed fist. The deputy's eyes follow her gaze. He takes a step toward her. "Ma'am, what's in your hand?" "It's nothing," she says quickly, trying to shove her hand into her pocket. "It's my personal property." "Ma'am, I need you to open your hand," the deputy says, his voice losing its patient tone. Karen hesitates. Her mind is racing, trying to find a way out of this, but there is no way out. The deputy is standing right in front of her. I am standing here. Neighbor Tommy has come out onto his lawn and is watching the whole thing. The trap has closed. "Ma'am," now the deputy says, his voice leaving no room for argument. Slowly, reluctantly, Karen uncurls her fingers. There, sitting in the palm of her hand, is the tiny black square of my SD card. The deputy looks at the card, then at me, then back at Karen. A look of understanding dawns on his face. He has seen this kind of thing before. The frantic accusations, the theatrical display, the stolen evidence. "I'm going to need to take that," he says to Karen. He carefully takes the card from her palm, holding it by the edges. He pulls a small evidence bag from his pocket and places the card inside. He turns to me. "You say this card has a recording of the incident. It has the data logs." "Yes, I confirm. Voltage, amperage, and a fault record from the moment the short circuit occurred. It will show that the power surge was caused by her equipment, not mine." The deputy nods. He looks at Karen, whose face has gone pale. The tears have stopped. The bravado is gone. All that is left is the stark cold fear of being caught. "Okay." The deputy says, "I think we need to sort this out. Let's all go back to the scene." We walk back to my driveway. The deputy takes it all in. The fire extinguisher on the ground, the white powder coating the side of the Tesla, the melted blackened mess of the adapter. He shines his flashlight on it. "This the adapter you were talking about?" he asks me. "Yes, sir." I say, "A cheap third-party device. They are known to be unsafe." He crouches to look, careful not to touch. Professional, treating it like a crime scene. He looks at my charger, at the lockbox, and at the open monitor port where the SD card is to be. The story I told him is matching the physical evidence perfectly. "Did anyone else see what happened?" the deputy asks, looking around. "I did, neighbor," Tommy calls out from his lawn. "Well, part of it. I saw her running and Evan here running after her. She was definitely clutching something in her hand." Just then, another neighbor, Mrs. Gable, from across the street, opens her door. "Officer, I have a security camera on my porch. It records all night. It might have seen something." A slow smile spreads across my face. This is it. This is the final nail in her coffin. Karen hears this and a little gasp escapes her lips. She thought it was just her word against mine. She did not count on the neighbors. She did not count on the community she claimed to lead. She thought she was the queen. But she forgot that in a neighborhood, everyone is always watching. The truth is about to come out. Not just from my little SD card, but from every angle. Her lies are about to be exposed to the bright, unforgiving light of a dozen porch cameras. The next morning, I feel like a detective. The deputy took our statements and left with the SD card, promising a full investigation. But I am not waiting. I am building my own case. I spend the morning going door to door. I talk to neighbor Tommy. I talk to Mrs. Gable. I talk to the Millers down the street. And a remarkable thing happens. People are eager to help. It turns out I am not the only one who has had a run-in with Karen Dunn and her tyrannical HOA. Tommy tells me about the fines he got for his son's basketball hoop. Mrs. Gable complains about the nasty letter she received because her wind chimes were deemed auditory pollution. One by one, they agree to share their security footage with me. I go home with a collection of video files on a thumb drive. I sit down at my computer, a fresh cup of coffee by my side, and I begin to piece together the timeline. The footage is incredible. It is a montage of Karen's own downfall captured from a half-dozen different angles. Mrs. Gable's porch cam is the star of the show. Her camera has a clear wide-angle view of my entire driveway. I fast-forward to just after midnight, and there she is. I watch in crystal-clear high definition as Karen Dunn sneaks onto my property. I see her carrying the cheap adapter. I see her kick my Charger's lockbox in frustration. I watch as she jams the adapter into her car. I see the flash of the electrical arc. I see the puff of smoke. I see her panic. The video has no sound, but the images are damning. Then I switch to Tommy's camera. His is a doorbell cam and it captures audio. It does not see the initial event, but it picks up right after I put the fire out. I can hear her voice, clear as day, shrieking at me. "You set my car on fire." The lie is recorded for all to hear. Then I see her lunge for my monitor box. I see her steal the SD card. The video shows her running, and it shows me chasing after her, yelling for her to give it back. I sync the video files together, creating a multi-angle timeline. It is irrefutable. It shows her intent. It shows her actions. It shows her starting the fire. It shows her stealing the evidence. And it shows her lying to create a false narrative. I saved the final edited video file. It is a 2-minute clip that tells the entire story without me having to say a single word. It is the truth compiled and edited for maximum impact. While I am working, Sarah is on the phone. She's talking to her friend who is a paralegal. She is asking about the legality of my recordings. Her friend confirms what I already suspected. My cameras are on my own property, pointed at my own property. They are perfectly legal. The monitor I built only records data from my own electrical system. Also perfectly legal. Karen, on the other hand, trespassed. She attempted to steal utilities. She caused property damage. She filed a false police report, and she stole my property, the SD card. She is in a world of trouble. I feel a weight lifting off my shoulders. The fear and uncertainty are gone. I have the proof. The truth is on my side, and it is backed up by gigabytes of data. But I am not going to be like her. I am not going to be loud and accusatory. I am going to be calm, methodical, and relentless. I am going to present the facts, and the facts are going to destroy her. The phone rings. It is the deputy from last night. "Mr. Cole," he says, his voice professional. "I have a couple of updates for you. First, we had the fire marshal's office take a look at the scene this morning. They have filed a preliminary report, and I ask, holding my breath. And it's exactly as you said," the deputy replies. "The fire was caused by a catastrophic failure of the third-party charging adapter. They found evidence of a direct short circuit. Their report explicitly states that your home wiring and your primary charger were not at fault." I let out a long, slow breath. "Thank you, officer. That's good to hear. There's more." He says, "We analyzed the data on your SD card. It corroborates your story perfectly. It shows a stable system all night, then a series of unauthorized access attempts on your main charger, which were blocked by your security. Then nothing. The card contains no data from the time of the fire because, as you said, she was using a different outlet. But it proves her intent to tamper with your system." "What happens now?" I ask. "Well, given the fire marshal's report, the evidence from the neighbors' cameras, which we are also collecting, and her own actions, Miss Dunn is facing some serious questions. We will be in touch." I hang up the phone. It is all coming together. The system is working. Not just my system of wires and code, but the system of laws and evidence. Karen Dunn tried to create her own reality through lies and intimidation. But reality is a stubborn thing. You cannot just wish it away, especially when it is being recorded in high definition. I look at the video file on my computer screen. I have my evidence. I have the fire marshal's report. I have the truth. Now, I just need the right stage to present it, and I know exactly where that is going to be. The next HOA meeting is in 3 days. It is time for the Queen to face her subjects. The call comes from a local news channel, a reporter named Jessica Wu. She has a segment called On Your Side where they investigate consumer complaints and local disputes. Someone, probably neighbor Tommy, had called them. They got a copy of the police report. They heard there was a story. An HOA president, a fire, an accusation of sabotage. At first I'm hesitant. I do not want a media circus. I just want this to be over. But then I think about it. I think about all the other neighbors who have been bullied by Karen. I think about her attempt to publicly shame and frame me. She tried to use a lie to ruin my reputation. Maybe the best way to fight a public lie is with the public truth. Okay? I tell Jessica Wu on the phone. "I'll talk to you, but we do it my way. I'll walk you through everything. Every permit, every log, every piece of evidence. That's exactly what we want, Mr. Cole, she says, her voice excited. The full story. The next day, a news van is parked in front of my house. Jessica Wu is a sharp professional reporter. She listens intently as I start from the beginning. We do not start with the fire. We start in my garage. I show her the plans for my solar installation. I show her the permits from the city, all signed and approved. I am showing that I am a person who follows the rules. So everything here is up to code, professionally installed, she asks as her cameraman gets shots of the equipment. To the letter. I confirm I'm an engineer. I don't do shortcuts. Then I take her outside. I show her the charger. I show her the heavy-duty lockbox. I explain why I had to install it, telling her about the first incident of power theft. I show her the hidden breaker in the attic. I demonstrate the RFID system, tapping my card to the charger and showing her the green light that indicates it is active. So, you built a multi-layered security system to stop her from stealing your power, she clarifies. I built it to protect my property, I correct her gently. It was a defensive measure. Next, I show her the little gray monitor box. And this is the key piece of the puzzle, I say. I explain what it does, how it logs data, how it has a safety cutoff. I hand her a printed copy of the fire marshal's official note. She reads it carefully. Her eyebrows shoot up. So, the fire marshal confirms the fire was caused by her cheap adapter. Not your equipment, she says, holding the paper up for the camera. Correct. I say it was a dangerous, uncertified piece of hardware. The fire marshal's report calls it a catastrophic failure. Finally, I invite her into my house. I sit her down at my computer. And now, I say, I'll show you what happened that night. I play the video, the compiled footage from my cameras and my neighbor's cameras. I do not narrate. I let the video speak for itself. Jessica Wu is silent, her eyes glued to the screen. She sees Karen sneak onto the property. She sees the arc of electricity. She sees the smoke, the fire. She hears Karen's shouted accusations. She sees her steal the SD card. She sees the foot chase. When the 2-minute clip is over, there is a stunned silence in the room. Wow, Jessica says softly. That's incredibly clear. The truth usually is, I say. The news crew spends another hour getting more footage. They film the blackened scorch mark on the side of Karen's Tesla, which is still parked in her driveway. They try to get a comment from Karen, but she slams the door in their face. The segment airs that night in the 6:00 news. It is devastating. It is a calm, factual, step-by-step dismantling of Karen's story. It shows me as a meticulous homeowner forced to defend his property. It shows the permits, the logs, the fire marshal's report, and it shows the video evidence of her actions. It paints a picture not of a criminal, but of a victim of a bizarre and dangerous campaign of harassment by an out-of-control HOA president. The phone starts ringing almost immediately. It is neighbors. "We saw the news. Good for you, Evan. It's about time someone stood up to her. We're with you 100%. The tide of public opinion, at least in our small corner of the world, has turned into a tsunami. Sarah watches the segment with me, her hand gripping mine. "You did it, Evan," she says, her voice full of pride. "You told the truth." "I just presented the data," I say, but I feel a sense of profound relief. The weight of the accusation has been lifted. The truth is out there, but there is one final step, one last battle to be fought. The HOA meeting. Karen Dunn is still the president. She still holds a position of power. The news report was my air support. Now I have to go in for the ground assault. I need to face her. Not just for me, but for everyone else in the community. She is bullied. The HOA meeting is tomorrow night. It is going to be the final showdown. And this time, I am not just bringing my voice. I am bringing a projector. The HOA meeting is held in the community clubhouse, a sterile room with a drop ceiling and fluorescent lights. It usually has about 10 people tops. Tonight it is standing room only. Every chair is filled. People are lining the walls. The news report has galvanized the neighborhood. They are not here for a boring discussion about landscaping budgets. They are here for a reckoning. I walk in with Sarah and neighbor Tommy. I am carrying a laptop and a small projector. Karen is already there, sitting at the head of the long table with the other 4 board members. She looks pale and drawn. She refuses to make eye contact with anyone. The other board members look deeply uncomfortable. They have all seen the news. They know they are sitting next to a ticking time bomb. The meeting starts with the usual formalities. The Pledge of Allegiance. The reading of last month's minutes. The air is thick with tension. Karen is rushing through the agenda, her voice a monotone. She is trying to pretend this is just a normal meeting. She is trying to maintain control, but she has already lost it. Finally, she gets to the new business portion of the agenda. "There is no new business," she says quickly. "So, if there's no further discussion, a motion to adjourn is—" "I have some new business," I say, my voice cutting through the room. Every eye turns to me. Karen freezes, her mouth half open. "You are not on the agenda, Evan," she says, her voice shaking slightly. I am putting myself on the agenda, I reply calmly. I am a homeowner in this community, and I have a presentation for the board and for my neighbors. One of the board members, a man named George, clears his throat. Karen, I think we need to let him speak. The other board members nod in agreement. They know they cannot shut this down. Not with this many witnesses. Karen sinks back in her chair, defeated. Fine, she mutters. 5 minutes. I will only need 2, I say. I walk to the front of the room and set up my projector. I aim it at the blank wall behind the board members. I turn it on, and the screen of my laptop is projected onto the wall, large enough for everyone to see. I do not say a word. I just click play. The video starts. The room is silent except for the sound coming from my laptop speakers. They see her sneaking onto my property. They see the flash. They hear her accusations. They see her steal the SD card. They see the chase. A collective gasp goes through the crowd when they see the arc of electricity. There are murmurs of shock and anger. I look at the board members. Their faces are grim. I look at Karen. She's staring at her hands, her face ashen. She's being forced to watch her own crimes magnified on the wall for all her neighbors to see. When the video ends, I turn off the projector. Thessalence in the room is heavy. I let it hang there for a moment. Then I speak. My voice is quiet, but it carries in the still room. This is not about a few dollars of electricity, I say. This is about an abuse of power. The person leading our community, the person we entrust with our dues and our rules, has been caught trespassing, stealing, and attempting to frame a member of this community to cover her own actions. She created a dangerous situation that could have set a car on fire or worse. She lied to the police. She lied to all of you. I turn to the board. This is not acceptable. We cannot have a person like this in a position of leadership. It is a liability. It is a disgrace. I am formally calling for a vote of no confidence and for the immediate removal of Karen Dunn as president of this homeowners association. Tommy stands up. I second that motion. George, the board member, looks at Karen. Karen, do you have anything to say in your defense? Karen looks up. Her eyes are filled with a mixture of rage and despair. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. What can she say? Everyone in the room just saw the truth. She closes her mouth. She shakes her head. All right, George says, his voice firm. We will vote. All in favor of the motion to remove Karen Dunn from the HOA board. Effective immediately. All around the room, hands go up. A forest of them. It is unanimous. Every single person in the room, except for Karen herself, votes yes. The other 4 board members also raise their hands. George looks at Karen. The motion passes, he says. You are removed. It is over. The Queen is deposed, but I am not done. One more thing, I say. Restitution. I hold up an invoice from a certified Tesla shop. Her negligence damaged my outlet, and I bought the extinguisher. I expect reimbursement. George takes it. Reasonable. The board nods. The HOA will compensate you. I raise one more document. A temporary restraining order signed this morning. Karen Dunn is to have no contact with us, and must stay 100 yards from my home. Whispers ripple. That's the seal on her fall. Karenglare is powerless. She shoves back her chair and leaves. The room erupts. Applause, handshakes, relief. I turn to Sarah. She's tearful, smiling. I put an arm around her. The fight is over. Peace returns.